Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am Cody. He is Andy. And with us, as always, Miss Paige Driscoll that keeps everything in line. All three of us make up the Tech Talk team.
Tech Talk Trio.
Tech Talk Trio.
Tech Talk Tripod or something like that. You ever heard that one?
I did now.
TTT. We can do
we
that.
Are back for another episode. Middle of May.
Smack dab. Right in the middle. It's getting hot, by the way. It's starting to get a little bit toasty. Cash market, it's getting hot. Everything's just getting hot.
It's not just
I see your sunburn healed, by the way. Like, it's no longer red.
I know.
How's that going?
It's going well. Appreciate you asking. Got it all healed up for another weekend where I'll probably get burnt again. So, just in time.
Summer fun with Cody.
Just in time.
All right. Well, I guess speaking of riding, should we talk about this first chart here?
We should. Speaking of hot markets, spot cheese.
Speaking of sunburns, hot, spot cheese. This thing is just like out of control. It's just flying right now.
It's like a chopper, yeah.
It's nuts. At any rate, what do you think here? $2? We're going to hold it? Not holding?
I don't know. It is Thursday. We still have one more day, but I feel like good old test of what do we got there? 202, 203?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely in the card.
I think this is what we talked about last time.
It is.
This
Yeah.
number right here, right? We got through all this noise. And then this was like that area where if you wanted to start to draw, like where things start to really break out from. It seems like we're getting ready to test that price if we really did. But it is Thursday, right? I mean, we still have another day.
Right.
I mean, we're getting back up into this little area right here, right? And it's what's interesting too is that, so we haven't looked at this one in a while, but you mentioned it right before the call. So we're going to look at it. I mean, this thing, it's just getting ready to jump right off the dock, man.
This is the spread between the block and the barrel.
Block barrel spread. This one is block minus barrel. So negative means the barrel is premium to the block.
Which the amount of trades that we've seen recently in the block has been obviously way outpacing the barrel, but the amount of uptick that we've seen in the barrel, you can tell by the chart, has just been massive.
This is a monthly, right? And so this doesn't necessarily be like a red candle doesn't necessarily mean prices are going down, right? All that's saying is that the barrel is well over the block, a lot more so than you normally see. Like I said, that's a monthly. This is a weekly. Last time we were here was Labor Day 2022-ish, looks like.
We're about a penny and a half away.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, like normally this chart comes back to around even. For the most part, this spent the most of this year. Actually, this isn't even this year. It's mostly last year. I mean, look at this. It was almost exclusively over, blocks premium. If you just kind of draw, I guess, like a line and just kind of like look at this kind of like, I guess, median area, right?
Right.
8-10 cents over, blocks premium, give or take, right? I guess my point is that we're starting to get to one extreme. That doesn't mean cheese needs to roll over, right, to correct this. I mean, the block theoretically could come back up.
Correct.
I would say historically, you normally see both markets participate in some sort of correction, right? So in this case, the barrel coming down, the block coming up to correct that spread. Assuming the spread's going to get corrected, we've seen it be, inverted for some time. If you think that the normalcy is blocks premium, I don't know. This one's tough. I mean, this one's really tough. Like I said, you got to this 203 area. We're hearing about barrels still relatively tight. We're seeing that in the price action.
Right.
It's starting to sound like blocks maybe shaking a little bit loose as, we're not as competitive in the export space anymore. It's more of a question of, how far down the calendar do the exports get booked? I guess I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see, a little bit of a retracement here. I don't know if the fundamentals support just a complete free fall back down, like an inverted V bottom, but a retracement to kind of go test, I guess, like the lower end of this area right here, I think is in the cards. Right, you go fill this little gap right here. That's a 182 and a half. So you've made some gaps. You think we're just going straight up?
I think we're going to 210. I think first we're going to go test all that resistance that we had going back into 2022.
Right here?
Yeah.
That's 214.
Oh, you are right. So even higher.
Even higher. That's where we're going. So you're saying next up 214. We're not going to have any kind of a retracement. It's just like straight up.
I do believe so. Yeah. Which you're talking, another 13, 14 cents from here. I think we're going to test that before we come back below $2, honestly.
So you're a buyer of June?
Yes. From here, I'd be a buyer of June. Correct.
Is it like hammer-worthy buying, or are we just like kind of buying it?
I'd say right now it's kind of buying. You got to see how Friday plays out because Fridays are generically, could have a little bit of both ways, which we've seen. I mean, you go from 42 lower to unchanged within 15, 20 minutes in this market, and it is getting very volatile.
It's getting dicey. We've had some pretty big ranges here recently, too. I mean, Monday was limit. Our good friend in the office, our new guy, Colin Artema, he was saying that the whole time he was working here for the first 9 months, he never saw a limit day. Then he got 2 in 4 days or something like that. It was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been some pretty nasty ranges. So, and big volume.
Correct.
I agree. I mean, I agree it's going to continue to be a volatile trade. I think if we're going to keep going, and I do think we can keep going beyond this price today, right? I just think we got to get a little bit of a setback. I think they try to correct this spread, and I think the correction of that spread will come in the form of we start to lose a little bit of export business and some barrel shake loose over time. So it's.
Do you think the barrel comes down first before the block goes up to meet said barrel in your pullback scenario here?
Correct. So we shall see.
We'll see.
I feel like you're like that hammer is like
it wants to. I'm not quite ready there.
You're just
I'm not quite ready. Do I think June's buy? Yes. Is it hammer worthy? Yeah. We just started pricing it too, right?
Let's start pricing next week.
Next week, that's right.
Check out Bases Loaded, Joe Schmidt.
You know what? Because we haven't even started pricing, I forgot. I thought we were in the first week. I feel like June's buy. Very, very hammer worthy.
Man, look at that. That thing just shook. Like I felt that over here. I just had an aftershock.
I thought in my mind we just started pricing this week, but you are correct. We have not.
We haven't started pricing. So Cody's 215 and beyond. It's like Buzz Lightyear over here. All right, let's talk about getting excited. July wheat.
Speaking about getting excited.
All right, what do you think here?
You and I had texted each other about this. Look at that, in my opinion, 5-wave Elliott wave theory that happened.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Correct.
So you'd be a seller here.
Yes. The RSI really seemed to jump itself up when we got up to that. What we're at 16.
You're talking about right here. Yep, that's overbought. So you're getting some confirmation of the secondary stuff. It looks like the momentum is starting to weaken up too. I hear what you're saying. I guess the next stop is like, do you break through this trend? Right? I mean, there's a clear uptrend here, right?
And I think what made me not nervous, but on the other side, I was talking to you about the RSI. You've also got an uptrend on that particular chart itself.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So
because we were just, we were kind of making some higher lows there.
Bam, but you broke through it here recently.
Yeah. So does that continue?
It's interesting. The secondary stuff charts just as well as the primary. Let's just take a quick peek at some of this, longer term stuff. You've got a pretty nice little, what are those called? Like a shooting star? It's like a hammer, but inverted. Hammers you usually see at the bottom of a move. I guess you'd like to see that candle red, right? But I see what you're saying. I mean, you want to be a little bit careful here. So let's say you're right. We break through this trend. Where do you think we're going?
Oh, I think you go back down to $6.
$6. So right inside all this noise right here.
Exactly. We had a little bit of support there after a pretty healthy run higher. And down at that $6, that's where you've, at least right now, you've got the 100-day moving average. It's kind of seems to be drawing its line straight across. Yep.
Well, I mean, hey, man, you start to see like a pullback in some of these grains. You start to see cheese, $2.15 and beyond. Butter's going to $4, I guess, maybe. Who knows? Be a good little day to be a dairyman, huh?
That's what we're hearing. That's what we're seeing.
Let's go. All right. So last one. New crop corn, is that right? That's the one you want to look at?
Yeah, Dec Corn.
This is a tough one.
It is.
This is a super tough one. You've got failure to get like into a new high on the RSI, right? And now it's moving lower. It barely made a new high here. And when it did, it didn't like it very much at all. And you're now bumping up against, 100-day moving average. Basically touched that price on the low. So that price is 480 and some change. Today's low is 480 and a half. To me, this looks like at the very least, the next stop is probably somewhere in here. You got to go test this uptrend. And that's not saying that much, right? That's another dime lower from here. Go test that uptrend and see where we go. I don't know. I mean, that could get a little bit dicey because then the momentum here would likely go from positive to negative at that point, right? It's still positive, but it failed to make a new high. That's a warning sign. So you got some things that are kind of giving you a little bit of a red flag to be probably, if you're long, look at least, covering or being a little bit still careful, I guess, buying some puts. Maybe you just get out of futures and just buy calls if you want to stay long or something like that.
Let me ask you this. Don't you think, especially in corn, don't you think $5 is kind of like a psychological number
I'm sure
in everyone's brain? When we didn't hit $5 3 days in a row and came off that, do you think more sell side is probably chasing the market lower, pushing the market lower, we'll say, as to not get their sales?
Well, I mean, you'd want to talk to our good friend, Jim Matthews, and, the folks at the feed team.
Right.
To your point, I would equate that to like, you made the comment about June milk being super volatile here, right? Big ranges. As soon as we get back below like $21, do you start to see dairy farmers that show up and say like, hey, we just rallied $5.50 off of the low.
Right.
And now we're at 21 and back below 21. Do we need to start selling? You probably are seeing something similar. You'll see it across any market like that, right?
Agreed.
So wouldn't be surprising. But yeah, I think this is in jeopardy of at least going down to test this uptrend. And if it breaks through that, then you got to think it's just like what we were looking at in cheese, right? Like where it touched the trend, kind of like the next target, right? And so that's 460 kind of around here. And then if it keeps going, now you're talking about another, shot at 4.5, but that's a long way down the road, right? You got to go test that trend first and see where it goes.
I agree.
That's all I know. I do know that like the foundation of my house is just shaking from the hammer, like the earthquake.
I was just going to say, I've got it on my notes here. Next week, we got to go back to CME Weekly Cheese and see which one of us is right or wrong.
I kept the little look. I got it right here, and I've got my line right there. So
I'm saying 215. You're saying 183.
I'm saying the next stop we got to go do is go fill that gap right there before we have another big leg higher.
So then why don't you fill the gap right below that at $1.60?
I don't think we're going to go fill that one.
Okay.
I never said that. Let's just relax.
There's also a gap up there at what, 230? I mean, if we're chasing gap, let's
take it easy there. Take it easy.
I'm just saying.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that like just cool it over there.
If you want to get out of control, I can play that game too.
Let's get out of control.
Awesome, everybody. Well, we appreciate you tuning into this episode of Tech Talk. Andy and I will be back, and Paige, in 1 week to reconfirm on cheese
1 week's time
what it did. So until then, everyone have a fantastic weekend. It's supposed to be beautiful before the rain comes. Have a great week next week, and we'll see you Thursday.